Hey, welcome back to the C Morning Show on C Today Business. It's time to talk about business talk. We are now joined by personal finance enthusiast Dani Rachmat here in the studio to talk about the exchange trade funds. I mean, we're gonna talk so much more than that. I think. Yes. So let's go with that. Buy your first ETF. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't any ETF.
Any ETF.
So this is first for me. I'm gonna learn so much. So before we start with all the lists, explain to us what is ETF.
ETF is exchange traded fund. Actually, a mutual fund that you can buy in the market, just like stock in the stock market. But the ETF is the mutual fund that copy the indexes that are available in the market.
Okay.
Here are some examples of the indexes, right?
Before you would go with that, would you still consider that as a mutual fund, or is it something different than a mutual fund?
It is a mutual fund, but it is passively managed by the investment manager.
Okay.
Passively managed.
Passively invest by so the difference with the mutual fund that we usually we call it, this is reksadana in Indonesia.
Yes, reksadana,
so
saham.
Usually there's a mutual fund manager who's actively put together a number of stocks. And then they're gonna bet like this is gonna give you the best return on your money.
They bet that their mutual fund, actively managed mutual fund, the regular mutual fund, regular reksadana saham will beat the market.
Will beat the market.
Yes.
But at this one, they have
passively managed. So they just copy the indexes that are available in the market.
Okay, so for example, we see right here, we have some lists right now. We have Sri Kahati, IDX 30, JII
Jakarta Islamic Index.
Islamic Index, so Sharia, Indonesia Consumer, SMI Infra 18, I never seen that one before. State-owned companies, so we're talking about
like Mandiri,
BRI,
Antam.
Okay.
This kind of companies.
High dividend 30, I like that.
20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
mistaken right there. Mind you, it's 20. It's not 30. So high dividend means that companies that 20 companies that give you the highest dividends. And then LQ45, which we've seen this a lot, which usually go hand in hand. 45 companies who's gonna affect how the Indonesian stock exchange is gonna. All right, so explain.
And, the ones making this are the smart people in the Indonesian stock market. So
I love how you put it. It's the smart people who are investing in Indonesia.
So we don't even need to think about whether these indexes are good or not, because it is already selected by those people with this expertise.
So for example, the Jakarta Islamic Index, they're not only taking Islamic indexes, but they pick the one that
really match the criteria. Whether they are Sharia and then have certain criteria, meet certain criteria, so that we just rest assured that the stocks that included in this index is already compliant with the Sharia law and everything.
Okay, but at the same time, it's going to give you the best return on your investments. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. A type of investment with minimum purchase of one lot of 100
units. Yes.
So basically, it's almost like buying a stock.
Yeah.
So in Indonesia, you are required to buy at least 100 shares every time you buy it. So it's basically almost
pretty much the same.
But we're talking about a number of companies in one listing.
Yeah.
All right. ETF is a mutual fund that can be passively managed, where investment managers only copy an index trader in the stocks and market as we trade. Okay, let's go back to this one right now. So the one that I'm familiar with, because we see it every day on our stock market, is the LQ45. Am I get it?
Yeah.
The LQ45, this is 45 companies.
That is most liquid and traded in the market, right?
It's the most liquid, so which means, so mind you, if you're not familiar with stocks, not all stocks, when you want to sell it right away, you can sell it at that moment.
Yeah.
So there are companies that are very liquid, meaning like when you buy it or you sell it, there are people who are willing to buy it again. Mind you, when you trade, it's the same thing. Like
that's very important. The liquidity.
Okay, so that's LQ45. So tell me about Sri Kahati.
For Sri Kahati, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember all of them. Sri Kahati is the index that contains companies that is give more focus on the ESG and then sustainability. So if you are into those kind of companies, Sri Kahati is good for you. For
those of you who environmentally or like talking about
and this is also good companies here.
That's a good one.
And then for the IDX 30, even more liquid than LQ45.
Oh, this is more liquid than IDX
So only 30 companies here,
Okay.
the most liquid ones, and then Islamic index, and this Indonesia consumer is those consumer companies that in Indonesia that we can buy.
Okay.
Put it together here, and then this one is focusing on infrastructure. The company that is the business is infrastructure and steroid companies. High dividend. This is
20.
my most favorite.
Okay.
High dividend 20.
Because every year you get.
Yeah. That is my focus as the stock investor, right?
Okay. Would you worry like high dividend? Usually, like when we talk about high dividends, it turn out the stock not doing so well in terms of growth or compounding.
I have to remind you that the stocks included here is already selected by those smart
yes.
people, so that.
All right. So, and then there's LQ45, as you mentioned, and many more. Again,
there are 42 indexes in the market.
right. So, if I'm not mistaken, like even like Islamic, like for Sharia, it's not only JII. There's so many, like there's Islamic 80 or something like that. There's 80 companies that they already picked.
Yes.
Like really good. Or like if you're into like if your principal is Sharia, you have options like 3 or 5 ETF that you can pick on that one. I'm not still familiar with this one. If you see numbers at the end of this, that means like there are 30 companies.
30
there's
companies,
like 80 companies.
yes.
Again, there's almost 900 companies now listed with recent IPOs. So a lot more companies that we can invest on this one. So we want to talk about returns. Like how much are we talking about like the return on this investment if we put it on ETF?
Unfortunately, in Indonesia, the ETF market is not that liquid. Still very, very small. Maybe we can compare to other mutual fund in Indonesia.
Okay.
So this is from what, like 2013, 9 years. But we can see that even though the market is not liquid, but the growth is, we can see the growth there because more people aware of this kind of investment. Let's for example, IDEX High Dividend 20 is now around 600 rupiah.
Okay.
600 rupiah, and then you can get all the 20 companies there.
So 600 rupiah.
Around 600.
This is per share?
Per unit.
Per unit.
Because we are talking about mutual fund.
So it's per unit, so you have to buy 100 of.
100.
Okay.
So that means that only 60,000 rupiah.
Okay. So if you want to invest it, you get 60,000 and then you get 20
companies.
20 companies at once. All right.
At once, yes. So we can see that the growth, even though the market is not liquid yet, but we can see the growth here. During like only 9 years, right? We can see that the market grew this much. So we can expect that in the future, maybe we cannot say that ETF will grow as fast as BPCA or Mandiri or any other single companies, but we can see the growth here.
There's a safe bet that it's still going to grow with the previous, like what we've seen before with the ETF growth on this one. So right now the ETF, so it's around 15,000 if you invested below 5,000 beginning on the 2013 in the mess of the
then.
Right. Now next one we have is mutual fund proportion.
Compared to other mutual funds in the market, because we have fixed income mutual fund, and then we have balanced mutual fund. Where is ETF? ETF is only 2.5% compared to the total mutual fund in Indonesia.
But this is we're talking about the Indonesian market.
Indonesian market.
It's a different story if we go.
In the US, investing in ETF is more popular rather than picking the individual stock. Why? Like if you want to buy S&P 500, right?
Yes.
You can buy the whole 500 companies. There are more than 2,000 companies in US, right?
Right.
And then you can buy like 500 companies all at once with a very minimum investment.
Now, on that note, because somebody been asking me about investing in S&P 500 because she just read a book, I want to invite my co-host Marissa to join us because she has a lot of questions because she want to invest on this stuff. This morning she was like, I wonder, I've been reading this particular book. What book are you reading? She reads a lot of books.
I do read a lot of books, and recently, because of Indra as well, and because of you as well, actually, my interest in financial stuff has peaked. And the recent book that I read, or I've been reading and still reading, is Tony Robbins' Money, right? Same, exactly. So this book, basically, he interviews all of the richest people in the world, the richest investors in the world, and picking their brains on how to invest smart. And I was extremely surprised because all these years I thought, hey, if you want to gain a lot of money, you have to risk it, you have to invest big as well. Well, that's apparently, according to Tony Robbins and these billionaires, it's a lie. Because ETF, which you have mentioned actually before as well, that it's low risk but high gain.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How does it work? How does ETF work?
For example, the IDX in Indonesia, IDX High Dividend 20, or maybe S&P 500 in US, when you invest in that kind of ETF, I mean, you buy those best 500 companies in US, right? I mean, compared to picking individual stock, the risk that you face will be with the well-diversified 20 companies in Indonesia that pays highest dividend, and then 500 companies in US.
Yeah.
The risk will be more diversified, will be lower compared to if you pick just one stock, that individual stock, that I think that this will be better performing compared to the market.
Okay.
How can you compare picking one individual stock that will perform better than market rather than buying the market itself?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to beat the market. You are actually the market.
Yes.
Yeah, which is actually a lot
That
safer.
is investing in ETF.
That is investing in ETF, which is, yes, currently is very small, right?
Very small in Indonesia.
Hopefully
Yeah.
it's going to get bigger because it's actually very useful and you can gain a lot of money by having very low risk. So explain to me, what is this compounding system? Because I'm actually representing the layman here because I'm still learning, so I'm sorry if my financial terminology is not that
we
great.
love it. Because like sometimes, you know, like we talk about it, but like we don't have any feedback, and then now you start asking like, oh, that's, go ahead.
Actually, the very first thing that we need to concern about is the cost of investing.
Right.
Because there is also essential part of our investing.
You're talking about fees.
Fees,
Right.
Yes.
When we invest in the, where is it? Equity fund.
Equity fund, yes.
Which already 22.2% mutual fund in Indonesia.
Right.
We pay like around 1 to 2% fees every year.
2% is too high. According to Tony Robbins, you only have to pay fees 1.25%. So 2 is high.
Yes, we pay those fees to the investment managers.
Yes.
On top of that, we also have to pay the transaction fee when we buy and sell the mutual fund.
That's big.
Even though some of the agents they just make it free for the fee for transaction, but we still have to pay this one.
Okay.
Well,
This
in
is
ETF,
go to the manager. All right.
yes, for an ETF, we only need to pay 0.1%
Wow.
per year.
That's small.
In Indonesia.
In Indonesia.
Yes.
Okay.
In US ETF like S&P 500, the management fee is way lower than this, even below 0.1%.
Really?
Yes.
Way lower.
Way lower. 0.0 something percent.
Okay.
Because how can an investment manager charge you 1% if they just sit idly in their office and I will just copy the index.
Yes.
So they cannot charge you more than this.
Because it's passive. It's obvious.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You're just looking at whatever the big movers
Yes,
in
exactly.
the market, and then they just look at the history throughout the years. Again, the LQ45 or IDX 30, the company can change.
Yes. Company can change.
Mind you, as mentioned earlier by Mas Dani, is there are banking sectors in there. There are mining. There's also like they all again, but like we see earlier the Sri something.
Sri
Sri
Kahati.
Kahati, which is like all sustainable.
Yes,
Again,
I can see the Generation Z investing in that. Absolutely.
And even the ones picking up the stocks is not the investment manager, but the smart people in the Indonesian stock market.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
There's a question about compounding.
Compounding, yeah.
So
like,
we know
let's
that
talk about numbers.
we know that the fee is this low. When talk about compounding, when we buy ETF like IDX High Dividend 20 or maybe S&P 500, those companies, when they make profit, they will pay dividend, right?
Yes.
But they will not pay dividend directly to you as the
Okay.
ETF holder. They will pay to the investment manager that hold the products, the whole shares.
Right.
And then this is the job of the investment manager because we pay them this fee to reinvest that
Automatically.
dividend Yes.
Automatically. Okay.
Yes, automatically. From our side as the
Yeah.
investor, automatically. But
Right.
there is the investment manager job to reinvest that dividend.
Right. And
So maybe they will put it back to the ETF.
Yeah.
So that other than on top of the growth of the stocks that we have in the ETF, we also have the compounding effect from the reinvestment of the
Yes.
Can you give us a calculation? For example,
Yes,
we
please.
buy 60,000 rupees of units on ETF, and then like what do we expect on dividend, and how much they're gonna reinvest it on ETF?
Actually, that is quite complicated. But,
Yeah.
but let's say that if we buy the IDX high dividend 20, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There are 20 companies here.
Yes.
And then A, B, until Z maybe,
Yes.
20 companies. And then they pay dividend like,
Yeah.
we will get the dividend proportionally as the stock that we
Can we
hold
average down
here.
around 6%? Or is it higher?
That is too high.
Or
for
is it still
them.
too high? 3%?
Because the IDX high dividend 20, there are some companies that pays like 20%.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. There is
Wow.
company that paid 20%, but some maybe only 2.5%. So in average, depending on the way of the each stocks,
Yeah.
so maybe average, I don't know. I haven't calculated.
You haven't calculated.
I cannot speak without data.
Right.
But at least for this dividend for the IDX high dividend 20, we will get our investment at least bigger than the time deposit that we put in the bank.
On a CD or
Right.
something
Yes.
like
What
that.
about reports, right? Because we're talking about, oh yeah, nanti. I'm speaking Indonesian all of a sudden. The dividend is going to be reinvested in
Yeah.
the ETF. We need reports, right, on the performance. Do we
The
get it
beauty
every
of
6
investing
months?
in this mutual fund, we can always see the reports. If I'm not mistaken, they will update it every month.
Every month. Okay.
Yes, they will have the, what is it? I forgot the name of the document, but in every platform we can open the document there.
Right.
Yes,
What a-
fund fact sheet. We can see the fund fact sheet, the latest fund fact sheet, and
Okay.
then we can see the report in our email and everything.
Right. In Indonesia, we have this, right?
Yes.
2.5% now. You've already mentioned earlier, we've discussed in the foreign market, we have the S&P 500.
Yeah.
So, for example, Indonesians, can we actually invest in the S&P 500 as well? Is that
Yes.
accessible?
There are some apps that already enable us to invest in the U.S. market.
Which means that you have to invest in dollars.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But we can just deposit in rupiah, and then of course there is exchange fee and everything there.
Yeah.
But it is already we can already do that easily now.
Right. Right. Okay.
So mind you, if you do invest in S&P 500, as you mentioned before,
Yes.
you have to consider the US dollar exchange rate with rupiah.
Yes.
So right now it's
Yes.
around 15,000. Beforehand it's like 14,000.
Steep.
So at this moment, you probably want to wait and for me, I will
Yeah.
wait and see
You would
if
wait and
it's
see.
like, unless you already have the dollars, then you can invest it.
Yeah.
Right.
At the same time, please understand, I just want to give people warning. The US markets is very different than whatever in Indonesia. We have a lot of regulation right here, like
Yeah.
what's the bottom like trading for the day. Like it's only like down to 25 to 35%, while in the US you can have like off hours trading. So like the numbers can still fluctuate on those numbers. At the same time, from my experience, like there's a minimum numbers that you have to hold on the stocks. Like
Yeah.
if it drops like below 100%, then
I see.
they're gonna wipe it off from your portfolio. So
Okay.
just be mindful. Like
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
anything that we talk about here,
Yes.
you still need to learn more.
Yeah, you need to do your own research.
Yeah.
And speaking of portfolio, earlier you said ETF, right? Because when we invest, we have to diversify. Some people have a fixed rate or government bonds or gold, and then ETF. How many percent is the ideal investment for ETF? in our
Actually,
portfolio?
ETF is included it should be included in your stock portfolio, and in your stock portfolio should be 100 minus your age.
Hang on. 100
So,
minus.
if you're currently like 25 years old,
Oh, thank you. Which
So,
is
meaning that-
absolutely not true.
75% of your investment should be
Yes.
in the stock market,
Right,
which
right.
including ETF.
Okay.
So, if your investment budget is like maybe ₹1 million a month,
Yes.
then the portfolio that you should put in the ETF, if you don't want to buy individual stocks,
Yes.
then you should put like 750,000 rupiah to the ETF.
Oh, ETF.
75% of your investments will be in the stock market.
So the rest, which is the 25%,
You
it
can
should
buy
be
the
in others.
government bonds or any
gold
other
or-
investment. Yes.
Gold.
So okay, so that's the way we count it.
Yeah.
And how long is the ideal period to invest? Because sometimes when we talk about investment, some people are just like, ooh, it gains like 3%. I'm just gonna sell it right now, you know. But what is the nature of ETF?
Those kind of people, then they will never see gains of 100%, 200% of
Yes.
their investment.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. For me, if you ask me how long, as long as I still work and I still receive my monthly salary,
Yes,
I will just buy and hope forever
Okay,
for everything
forever.
that is good.
Okay.
Hold
So
forever.
hope
Hope
forever.
forever. Okay.
If I
You
don't
don't
have
sell.
any necessity to buy to sell,
Sell.
so I will just put it there.
Okay.
In
I-
fact, continue to buy if you're not
Yeah.
gonna sell
Yes.
it. You're both.
I already see 200% to 250% profit in my portfolio, and
Yeah.
those big returns even make me more curious that how big this can be.
Yes. So you just keep adding
Yes.
money regularly. And the key about investment, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dani and Indra, is that you have to make your investment automatic. So every month you always have to invest. Is that true?
That is interesting
Yeah.
discussion. Yes.
Oh,
We're gonna have more discussion on that one.
Okay.
Well, I guess we can discuss it on our next meeting.
sure.
I will help you
Okay.
discuss on like how should you invest.
Yeah.
Should you do monthly or
Yes.
should you,
Yeah.
Yes.
but is it true or not? It's complicated.
Depends
Yeah,
Oh.
depends on
how you wanna.
how you invest and what is your investment strategy.
What's your goal?
goodness.
We're back again to what's your goal on your investment?
You know, my goal is because when we invest, we have to be very clear with what goal that we're actually
Yes.
trying to reach, right?
Yes. Yes.
I basically, when I retire, I just want to travel. I just want to see the world. So I need money for that.
I think she needs more than 300 times than the.
Yeah.
Hey, but my lifestyle is very, very humble, very, very
Alright.
simple. Because I'm saving up for my retirement.
Right. So with that, we're gonna save that for our next discussions because that's very interesting. I would love to talk about more of that one. For right now, we're gonna go on a commercial breaks. But thank you so much for being here to talk
Thank you
about
for having
ETF.
me.
Another instrument that's interested, like we talk about government bonds on the show. We talk about like how to invest on the stocks. Again, mind you, at home we're gonna again is. Any investment there's stress even low if it's really low there's always stress on investment. Now, let's take a break, but we will have more updates from around the world when we return. Stay here with us on the C Morning Show.